Today, we're going to uncover the story of a lost culinary hero, a plant that literally sustained Europe for 500 years, only to vanish from our fields and pretty much from our memories. So what was it, and why on earth did we let it disappear?
Way back in the late 1500s, King Henry IV of France made this famous promise about wanting a chicken in every pot. It's a great line, a noble vision of abundance for everyone. But here's the thing, while the king was busy making speeches, the people were already being fed by a completely different kind of Henry. For 500 years, their pots were actually filled by a plant they called Good King Henry. Not a gift from some monarch, but a perennial, basically a weed that grew everywhere, asked for nothing, and fed everyone. So that's the big mystery, right? If it was so perfect, where did it go?
To solve this thing, we first have to understand exactly what was lost. Because this was not your ordinary vegetable. Not even close.
I mean, the versatility of Good King Henry was just incredible. You plant it once, and it could feed you for life. In the early spring, its shoots would come up, and people would eat them just like asparagus. Then, from May all the way until the first frost, you could harvest its leaves like spinach. For centuries, this was the reliable, vitamin-packed backbone of the soups that kept European peasants going.
And its value was known way before the Middle Ages. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder wrote that Emperor Tiberius himself demanded this plant as tribute from Germanic tribes. Think about that. An emperor wanted it so badly he made it a form of tax. It was that valuable.
So you might be wondering, how does it stack up against our modern superfoods? Well, modern science shows it kind of puts them to shame. It's got more iron than spinach, more calcium, more B vitamins, and the vitamin C content, it is just off the charts. We're talking about a true nutritional powerhouse.
And here's the single most stunning feature. Get this. Good King Henry has more calcium than milk, a complete source of nutrition growing for free right outside your door. Just amazing.
So if this plant was so perfect, why did it vanish? It's time to open the case file on its mysterious disappearance. This really is the central puzzle here. Why would an entire society just abandon a self-sufficient, super nutritious food source? Well, the answer seems to lie at the intersection of two really powerful forces, technology and economics.
The first culprit wasn't a person, but a process, mechanization. The rise of machines created a brand new ideal for what farming should look like, and Good King Henry just didn't fit the mold. It all started back in 1701 with the seed drill, which needed crops planted in perfect, straight lines, an order that the wild, chaotic clumps of Good King Henry just couldn't follow. Then in 1837, you get the steel plow. Now, it was a marvel for breaking open new prairie soil, but it choked on the deep, tough roots of perennials. By the time the tractor rolled onto the scene in the early 1900s, a whole new farming philosophy was set in stone: wipe the field clean and start fresh every single year.
And here's the crucial point. The plant wasn't abandoned because it failed to feed people. No, it was labeled inefficient because its greatest strength, those deep, soil-holding roots, became its fatal flaw. It just slowed down the machines.
But the machines were really just a weapon. The motive, well, the motive came from a totally new way of thinking about food, one that was driven by the rise of the commercial seed industry.
Look, from a purely business perspective, the model for annual crops is brilliant. You sell seeds to a farmer, the farmer plants them, and the entire crop is used up in one season. What happens next year? They have to come back and buy more seeds from you. It's the perfect subscription model, you know? It guarantees a constant stream of revenue.
In the perennial model, well, you sell the seeds once, and your customer might be set for decades. A plant like Good King Henry is a terrible product for business. In this new economic world, self-sufficiency actually became the enemy of profit.
So we chose the path of the machine, the path of the annual crop. And that choice would end up having these profound, lasting consequences for the entire planet. These numbers right here paint such a stark picture. Out in nature, perennials are the rule, 94%. But on our farms, they're the tiny exception. We've basically built a global food system that is fundamentally at odds with how the natural world works. And the consequences of that choice have been staggering. The constant plowing you need for annuals has led to catastrophic soil erosion. Think of the American Dust Bowl. Their shallow roots are terrible at holding onto water, and the bare soil releases huge amounts of carbon into the atmosphere.
This system also made us deeply dependent on chemical fertilizers and pesticides, things a plant like Good King Henry never, ever needed.
But this story doesn't end in loss. While the industrial world might have forgotten all about Good King Henry, the plant itself, it endured. And now, a quiet rebellion is starting to take root.
See, Good King Henry didn't actually go extinct. It just retreated. It survived in these forgotten corners of old cottage gardens, near monasteries, in wild patches up in the mountains, just waiting for us to remember what we lost. And now, we are starting to remember. Scientists are developing incredible new perennial grains like Kernza. The USDA is now actively encouraging farmers to embrace perennials. And maybe most exciting of all, anyone, you, me, anyone, can go online right now and buy Good King Henry seeds to plant in their own garden.
Planting this vegetable today it's more than just gardening. It's an act of quiet rebellion. It's a choice to grow food that doesn't need a tractor, that doesn't rely on a seed catalog, and that grows on a timeline that is completely independent of the industrial world.
You know, King Henry IV promised a chicken in every pot. It was a promise that depended on a functioning economy, and when that failed, so did the promise. The other Henry, the plant, it made no promises with words. It just grew, keeping a promise of sustenance deep in its roots, a promise the world forgot how to hear, but that we are finally starting to listen to again.